This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's talk about some other talent that you're bringing in. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about these guys, but you got some pretty capable fellas coming in. Tracy Smothers, who you and I both loved over in WCW and Smoking.
Yeah.
He's coming in as Freddie Joe Floyd. And I think my understanding is even the name Freddie Joe Floyd is a rib based on your old pal, Mr. Briscoe. What can you tell us about Tracy coming in?
Well, I think Jack's name was Freddie, part of his name.
Yeah.
You know, Oklahoma, much like Alabama, has front names, middle names, behind names, and all these different names, you know. But it was a good-hearted rib. And some of those guys were brought in were pretty damn good workers without question. But, you know, you wonder, can they wrestle their way from mediocrity because of the gimmick? Bell to bell, they're going to be fine. But do I care about them? And if their gimmick and their persona prohibits me from really caring about them, then we've done no one any favors. Well, we get good matches, but they don't mean shit. Give me something that means something to the audience. And so that's kind of where we were there. I love Freddie Joe Floyd. Floyd is Gerald Briscoe's front name.
That's her first name. Yes, sir.
Floyd Gerald. And Freddie was Jack's. I'm not sure it was his legal name or just a childhood nickname, but that was a Briscoe thing. And Gerald was fine with it. I mean, who the hell would have known?
Right.
What Freddie Joe Floyd even was, what the significance of that meant. So again, we were bringing in a lot of talent, hoping somebody would get over and their character would stick and would be resonate and be relatable. But I don't know. Again, we didn't do those guys, you know, the Goon, all those cats. We didn't do anybody any favors, some of these things. On paper or sitting around the table and laughing, it might have been cool. But in practical application, they could not get out of that box that says, underneath guys, report here. Because that's what they became, and they stayed that way.
Tony Anthony is going to come in as TL Hopper. This is very much what do we call it? Occupational gimmick era of the World Wrestling Federation. We've had a wrestling clown. Now we have a wrestling plumber.
Yep. Well, again, it's just a theory that on the road we traveled. You know, I can't say it enough. It's fucking trying to find somebody to get over.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. And the irony, the cruel irony in a sense, is that guys like Tony Anthony and Tracy Smothers, and some of those other cats that came in about that time, all could work. But we didn't give them a gimmick or a persona that people could relate to. Oh, everybody could relate to the plumber. Yeah. When's the last time you saw your fucking plumber? I couldn't pick mine out of a lineup. He's standing right there. Come on. So that's kind of how I saw that. We gave them weak gimmicks for guys that could really work. And, you know, under a different circumstance, they might have got over with a different gimmick because it wasn't their work. That's one thing I want to make clear. You know, these guys got fans that listen to our show. I'm sure they may listen as well. Some of them that are still with us. But it was just it was a fait accompli. It wasn't a matter, is it going to fail? It's just a matter of how long is it going to take for it to fail? And that's not good booking.
Let's keep it going and talk about some other names because there's a lot of other talented fellows. Tom Brandy is going to come in as Salvatore Sincere. Tom has been a journeyman wrestler who did quite well for himself over the years. What do you think of the Sal Sincere character?
Same as I thought about the others. It was disingenuous and unrealistic. And again, Tom is a really good worker. But you get saddled with a certain gimmick and a certain persona and an image, and it's hard to live down. But you know, I'm not sure what he was supposed to represent. some Italian, cool, handsome guy, I guess. I'm not sure. We were vague in that regard, but he was a good hand, but he had a shitty gimmick. But we were doing our best. All those guys we've talked about that we brought in could work. They could perform in the ring, Conrad. It's just that we gave them the wrong coat of paint.
The other fella's Bill Irwin, who you and I both are familiar with his work prior to joining the World Wrestling Federation. He's coming in as the Goon. Another interesting idea. We're going to have a wrestler who is the tough guy on a hockey team, and he's got specially shaped boots. This is just right out of the book of bad ideas. And then Alex Porto as well. Of the group here, my personal favorite, Tracy Smothers. How about you?
Oh yeah, by far. Tracy could have been a main event guy for us, given a better chance to survive his creative. Because Tracy had great fire, great intensity, so fundamentally sound. He gave a shit. Tracy gave a shit every time he went out. And I'll always respect him for that, among other things. So yeah, Tracy would be my pick as well as Conrad on that deal.
We should also mention that Kevin Kelly is coming in as an announcer, and Barry Windham is at least in discussion to come back. We know that's going to result in an ill-fated run as the Stalker, and then we're going to try him as part of the new Blackjacks. But anytime a guy like Barry Windham is looking for work, you probably try to find a spot for guys like him and Ron Simmons. What can you tell us about Kevin Kelly in this era?
Kevin was brought in with high expectations. I worked with Kevin some. We did. He made his way to Raw earlier than a lot of people envisioned that he might. Great student of the game, worked hard. I remember he may have got off on the wrong foot because he got into a little bit of a philosophical discussion with Kevin Dunn about how to spell Kevin Kelly's name. He wanted an E-L. I don't know if he wanted the K-E-L-L-Y and he wanted K-E-L-L-E-Y. It's the wrong hill to die on.
Yeah.
And but he endured it, but it may have had some latent or everlasting effects on him. But Kevin always did a good job. He was fundamentally sound. He worked hard. He prepared hard. He cared. And he still does. Kevin does a great job for in a very tough world with New Japan, having to do all this stuff remotely and on to voiceovers and all those things. That's tough when you're doing voiceovers in a room and not at the arena. I can promise you that it's challenging. But he does a phenomenal job there. It's the voice of that brand, and still doing a great job. Happily married, kids, son's good. I like Kevin. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm glad that he's doing what he's doing because he's good at it. And but he was just a guy that we hadn't added a lot of new announcers for some time.
Yeah,
like I came in '93, and this was what, 96.
Yeah.
So and we're adding more shows, doing more production, and we needed more voices. Vince is still staying busy in his multitude of roles. So, he was just on some certain shows. But yeah, I thought Kevin was a good addition. I thought he'd be there a long time. He wasn't, unfortunately.
Talk to me a little bit about your job here and what your real life duties are behind the scenes. Are you head of talent relations by this point, or where is JJ in that process?
Is JJ still there?
I'm asking you. I don't know.
I don't remember. As long as JJ was there, I was an assistant.
So what did that look like?
Just helping JJ with ideas, booking live events, trying to run down issues and problems, interacting with the talents. I was a lot younger than JJ at that time. So the talents they felt like they could relate because I was more their age than JJ was. But it was basically helping him.
I think he leaves in early 97, or perhaps it's late 96. I always get fuzzy on when exactly it happened. I know he shows up for WCW in 97, and I don't think he was out of work for very long.
Yeah.
this is certainly in the transition era.
Hey, Big Daddy, you got to get excited about saving people money. Woo! Woo!
SaveWithConrad.com.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.